Well, with over $1 trillion in assets under management and growing, PIMCO has a pretty good read on where the global economy stands right now. Bill Gross joins us now to talk about the new normal as he sees it. Bill, thanks for being here.
You're welcome, Poppy.
Fascinating post by you online. You recently explained your economic forecast discussing your hatred of electronic flushing toilets. I mean, explain what the two have to do with each other here, because you did have a serious point.
Well, the electronic toilets can flush or not flush, and sometimes can flush too often. I suggested that in the U.S. economy, in terms of the recent stimulus, that we've been flushing a lot of stimulus down the economic toilet, which means that we've been directing it towards consumption as opposed to investment. And so the jobs that are required to be created in order to be competitive have not really been produced.
You know, on the stimulus point, it's interesting because there's been a lot of debate over whether or not the Obama administration has dealt with stimulus in the correct way, whether or not we should see more government stimulus. Economists across this country debating over the right take on stimulus. What's your position as to how the administration has handled stimulus?
Sure, I think there have been several instructive pieces in terms of where we should be headed. One of them by Mohammed Al-Arian here at PIMCO, others by Jeff Sachs and so on. Our particular thrust is that jobs and economic growth should be structured in a way that makes us competitive on a global basis. Up until this point, it's been structured such that consumption will continue and that people will continue to buy things, but that has basically been the pattern of the past 10 to 20 years. What we need to do is become job competitive, to direct more emphasis and investment in clean energy and infrastructure and education that will prime our labor force for the future as opposed to the past.
You've set out these 4 different economic scenarios as to how this recovery could go. The one that you're really focusing on, it seems, is this new normal involving deleveraging, regulation, deglobalization, talking about population growth slowing, also more aging Americans spending less and less. So all of that tying into this new normal that's here to stay, Bill?
Yes, I think our new normal, which stresses those particular factors, I won't go over them again, it basically produce a 1 to 2% real growth rate, Poppy. I mean, what we've experienced for the past 18 months has been a subnormal, a new normal type of recovery in the 2% area. Typically, a recovery off of a recession such as we've had would be in the 4 to 5 to 6% real growth area, and it's been half of that, if that. And so what we're suggesting going forward is, yes, because of the problem in terms of the structure of the economy, the fact that we're delevering, the fact that we're re-regulating, and the fact, importantly, I think, Poppy, that jobs themselves are facing structural headwinds. I mean, there are many jobs that are not coming back into the economy, autos and finance and real estate and state and local governments. And the longer we stay out of those jobs and at 9% plus unemployment, the more we stay out of shape, so to speak, as a labor force and less relevant to the global economy.
So this is really a domestic U.S. forecast, not a global forecast. I mean, this varies country by country, right?
Yes, it does. And we have for some time now suggested that in terms of the global economy, that the developing, the emerging, which is almost a misnomer these days because those are the dominant economies. We're talking about Asia and China, Brazil as well, that those particular economies will continue to do well because they are underconsumed, whereas the U.S. is overconsumed. And to the extent that they can produce consumption growth significantly in the future, then they are the economies of the future.